With the recent release of both Predator Badlands and Alien Earth, the entire Alien Predator universe, and even the Blade Runner universe and the Independence Day universe have never looked more interconnected. And this video is your complete timeline, from 1719 all the way to the 2300s, breaking down every movie, short film, crossover, tie-in, and implied connection that links the Alien franchise, the Predator franchise, Alien vs. Predator, Blade Runner, Soldier, Independence Day, and so much more. So welcome to Big Flick Energy, and let's get right into it. And we'll start with the big picture theory, then go project by project in timeline order, where this is one giant shared universe supported by Easter eggs, creator comments, corporate links like Weyland-Yutani, and even subtle hints buried in DVD extras. So here's the macro view before we dive into the details, and that starts with number 1. The predator species are ancient hunters influencing Earth for centuries. We see them in Prey in 1719 and again in various eras of Killer of Killers, then modern times, and then in the future in Badlands. Their tech and genetic experimentation explain why the universe later becomes so intertwined with bioweapons and mutating species. 2. Weyland-Yutani is the glue of the alien universe, and now also Predator Badlands. In Badlands, the protagonist interacts with a Weyland-Yutani manufactured android, making the first direct in-story tie-in between Predator and Alien since the Alien vs. Predator movies, where Weyland-Yutani is a mega corporation obsessed with weaponizing alien biology, colonizing deep space, and ethically questionable research, and this is also the corporation that later hunts the xenomorphs. Now, number 3 is kind of tied into number 2, where Blade Runner connects through shared creators, themes, and subtle lore, where Ridley Scott, creator of Alien and Blade Runner, intentionally made a lot of these connections between the franchises, where it actually originally stems from the 1999 release of the Alien 20th Anniversary Edition DVD, where the disc included a biography of Tom Skerritt's Dallas in the bonus features, which briefly mentions that the captain worked for Blade Runner's Tyrell Corporation before joining Weyland-Yutani. And there are many other things that tie this in together, where the creator himself, Ridley Scott, expressed his opinion that the Earth the Nostromo crew was desperately trying to get back to was the same world inhabited by Deckard and the rest of the Blade Runner cast. Over a decade later, the Blu-ray of Scott's confusing alien prequel Prometheus would include a booklet containing a diary entry from Guy Pearce's Peter Weyland that further cemented the connection between Alien and Blade Runner, where in the diary entry, Weyland mentions a mentor who ran his company like a god on top of a pyramid overlooking a city of angels and focused on genetic abominations rather than simple robotics. While Weyland never mentions Eldon Tyrell by name, a sentence about this mentor implanting his creations with artificial memories leaves little doubt who the CEO is talking about. Then 4, further into that, Soldier, Blade Runner, and Alien all share overlapping lore, where synthetic humans, replicants, Weyland robotics all blur together across these stories. Soldier in 1998 even uses props and references tied to Blade Runner and takes place in a similar dystopian military future. And 5, the Independence Day aliens might share the wider intergalactic ecosystem, where this is more so a theory that actually very recently came about, and it's because of Predator Badlands, where in the protagonist's ship, which actually came all the way back from the first trailer we got for this movie, we see different trophy skulls, and one strongly resembles the alien from Independence Day in 1996. It's not confirmed, but it's visually a clear one-to-one match, implying predators may have hunted the ID4 species at some point. And since Predator Badlands does take place so far in the future, these do not have to be the same ones that tried to invade Earth. It could be a different member of this species of ID4 that they hunted at a different point in time. Put all this together and you get one sprawling multi-century shared universe where humanity meets predators, bioengineered horrors, replicants, and galactic invaders that I'm so proud to say is actually one of the best connected universes today. Because with Marvel, DC, both of them kind of trying to find their foot right now, it's pretty cool to see Alien vs. Predator having such a strong streak of well-received projects right now with Alien Romulus, Alien Earth, Predator Badlands, Killer of Killers, and Prey. And I cannot wait to keep on seeing it. But speaking on that, we can now get into the timeline since we have that pretty basic theory of where all these tie in together. So we'll start this world off with Predator, Killer of Killers, which is more of an anthology film showing how the Yautja have come to Earth in multiple different occasions, starting in the year 841 in the Viking Age, then 1609 in feudal Japan, and then 1941 in the World War, where it's just a lot of fun to see these three different stories. We're starting in 841. We have a major revenge arc for a mother and her son and a different group of Vikings that are trying to take out another group that had tried to conquest them before and had killed their family. And then eventually, a predator comes to try to take his own claim. Then we have the next one in feudal Japan, where two brothers, long lost at an early age, eventually meet back up, where the brother that ran away wants revenge for what his brother did to him 20 years back. But that's not the only creature that's going for a kill, because we have another predator here. And then the third story, taking place in the World War, we have a wannabe fighter pilot who's able to help save the day when realizing there's more in the skies than just the opposing forces. There's a predator as well. And all in all, once these three stories are concluded, we actually find out that all three of them, even though they defeated their own respective predators, eventually were taken to a predator ship to fight to the death against each other to be the killer of killers. Now, when this happens, the character from the World War era was actually given a flintlock pistol and said that this wasn't even from his era, which was a nice joke to show, because that character was a little bit more lighthearted than the other ones. This flintlock pistol actually has a long story, which I'll get into later with the next films. But speaking on the next films, the way this film ends shows the Viking sacrificing herself while the samurai and the fighter pilot are able to escape in a predator ship as the rest of the predators go to hunt them down. Setting up a Predator Killer of Killers Part 2 that who knows when we'll get it, but it's set up for the future. Or maybe it's going to be an Avengers style movie for the Predator franchise, because the way that it actually ends shows us three additional characters from the Predator franchise that we'll later see become champions in their own films. But apparently, all three of them were captured by the Predators at some point to fight to the death against each other. We just haven't seen that yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if somehow these three characters are released and they find their way as their own team together to take on the Predators. These three characters being Naru from Prey, Dutch from the first Predator movie, and Mike from the second Predator movie. And Predator Killer of Killers is a great film at connecting all of the Predator films together. And we start with Prey in 1719, taking place in the northern Great Plains in the United States of America, where at this point, for the Predator evolution, there was early Yautja equipment, less advanced cloaking, and crude energy weapons. And here, Naru, a young Comanche warrior, dreams of becoming a hunter but struggles to be taken seriously. Simultaneously, a predator arrives on Earth, likely an adolescent Yautja, on a rite of passage. It escalates its hunts through the food chains, snakes, wolves, bears, humans. Naru learns its tactics, discovers its weaknesses, and ultimately uses intelligence, not strength, to defeat it. And their evolving tech over centuries supporting the idea that predator culture advances in parallel with human history, and the flintlock pistol appearing here later appears in Predator 2, creating a time-spanning artifact link that we'll see down the line. But moving on from there, we have Predator in 1987, taking place in Valverde in the Central American jungle, where Dutch's Special Forces team is sent to rescue supposed hostages, but quickly realizes they're being hunted by a cloaked extraterrestrial. The Predator's tactics, thermal vision, stealth, and trophies become franchise-defining. Dutch eventually defeats it using mud camouflage and primitive traps, and sets up one of the most iconic movies of all time, and one of the most iconic Arnold Schwarzenegger roles of all time, where it's the first depiction of a modern elite Yachuwa, shows the Predator honor code where it spares the unarmed and has the self-destruct ritual, and shows government knowledge gained here, which influences later attempts at capturing Predator tech, which we'll see later on in The Predator in 2018, but we'll get into it later. But next, we have Independence Day in 1996, which is kind of an interesting story here because of how it fits with the next movie in 1997. But here, humanity faces a full-scale invasion by a hive society of biomechanical aliens, where their technology demonstrates a massive gulf between human capability and interstellar civilizations. The central brain alien resembles a trophy skull shown centuries later in Predator Badlands, and their hive structure mirrors themes later seen with xenomorphs, implying a galaxy filled with insectoid, hive-based species. And this next story that I'm mentioning is Predator 2 in 1997, taking place in an overheated, crime-ridden Los Angeles. And I say that it's kind of interesting to see this here because a year before there was literally an apocalypse-level event on Earth. Now, the biggest problem here is one of the main targets from Independence Day was Los Angeles. And the movie for Predator 2 clearly takes place in Los Angeles. So I think this is probably the biggest breaking point for this theory if it's happening. But given the recent technology that they had discovered that since 1987 they had been tracking, I believe that that potentially could help them build at a more rapid scale back up to what Los Angeles could be. If it was so overheated and crime-ridden at that time, it's possible that that is partially because, given everything that had just happened the year before, it sort of became an anarchistic society. They didn't have as much protection as they typically would have had. So I wouldn't be surprised if all of that sort of tied into each other. Obviously, a year to recover is kind of ridiculous. It is the United States, though. The world came together a year before, so it definitely came together to put back together some of these largest places in the world. I think that there's enough evidence to state that with the level of technology that they had and the world coming together, they could have done it in a year. Hopefully. I'm only saying that so this video still works. So, in this story, Detective Harrigan discovers a series of ritualistic killings, and he uncovers a predator hunting during social chaos, where the urban equivalent of jungle warfare takes place here. The climax inside of the predator ship reveals an entire trophy wall, where a xenomorph skull is visible, decades before Prometheus and Covenant created modern alien biology, which is kind of strange here, and kind of shows that there might be something else going on, or honestly could just be an entire break for this theory. But I'm going to say that the xenomorphs did have a basis for where they were created from. We're similar to Alien Romulus, where there was a version of a xenomorph that actually looked a lot more like a human because it was created from a human. I'm going to say that's sort of what the xenomorphs that we've seen were, which would actually make this work because the xenomorph skull we saw probably wasn't actually a xenomorph skull. It was probably the equivalent for a human skull, but whatever that species was throughout the galaxy. And there are so many species, so many that we saw in Predator Badlands specifically, but so many species in this galaxy that could be anywhere. So I think this actually works as a good explanation for how Alien vs. Predator could still work in this world, and how Predator 2 can still work in this world, even though we know the story from Prometheus. But that very strategically takes us directly into Alien vs. Predator in 2004, where a secret pyramid under Antarctica houses the Predator's ancient hunting ritual, releasing xenomorphs to fight them, where humans trigger the complex unleashing aliens. This film establishes predators as having influenced human civilization for thousands of years, where xenomorphs are used as a rite of passage query, predators possess deep knowledge of the alien life cycle, and the Queen's containment system mirrors later Weyland-Yutani facilities, where it would make a lot of sense for Weyland-Yutani to get influence from the natural world. And after this, we have Alien vs. Predator Requiem, also in 2004, where a predator-alien hybrid, the Pred-Alien, is born and terrorizes a small Colorado town, where veteran Yajwa arrives to clean up the mess, erasing evidence before humans discover advanced alien biology, which ends with the government handling predator plasma casters and xenotech, foreshadowing the Predator, where humans try replicating hybridization. And like I mentioned before, the Yachwa does try to clean up the mess, and there are some remnants that are left, but for the most part, this doesn't really impact much of what we see with Alien Earth. It's sort of a separate story, and I guess he cleaned up enough. It's more so relevant for when we get to the Predator in 2018. But followed by this, we have Predators in 2010, where elite Earth warriors are abducted and placed on an alien planet functioning as a giant game preserve. They discover two Yachwa factions, the classic Predators and the Super Predators, which are genetically altered and more aggressive, and confirms Predators not only hunt other species, they genetically modify themselves, foreshadowing later attempts to integrate xenomorph DNA, and actually tying in pretty well with Alien vs. Predator, where they were kind of creating their own xenomorphs and having their own lab for it, which could be how Weyland-Yutani got that idea down the line to create the xenomorphs, because maybe there was a version 1, which is what the Predators created or the Yachwa created, and they were also able to strengthen themselves. So I think this actually works very well in this world. Now after this, in 2016, we do have the return of Independence Day with Independence Day Resurgence, where using salvaged alien tech, humanity becomes more militarized and off-world capable, where the surviving aliens signal for reinforcements. And it really sets up this time period where humans are starting to learn more about the alien world. We saw that in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, we're going to see it in the Predator. But here in Independence Day Resurgence, it's more so focused on what happened in 1996 with the global apocalyptic event, because it shows the growing militarization and hybrid tech which mirror Weyland-Yutani's future, also explaining how humanity progresses technologically toward Prometheus-era spacecraft. And now the project I've mentioned a few times, the Predator in 2018, where a Predator flees to Earth carrying a weapon meant to help humanity fight advanced predators. The government, already studying Yachwa biology, captures the creature, but chaos ensues when another Predator hunts it down. The government wants Predator DNA to evolve humanity, mirroring David's experiments in Alien Covenant. Now there is a post-credit scene which shows a Predator killer suit, which is a human-sized Predator battle suit that could be used down the line to rival Yachwa technology, setting the stage for more advanced future conflicts, but nothing ever happens here, so can't really speak too much on that. After this though, we do have Blade Runner in 2019, where Rick Deckard hunts rogue replicants, artificial humans nearly indistinguishable from the real thing. It introduces the ethics of artificial life, themes that echo across Weyland's future experiments. And here, the dystopian megacities and off-world colonies closely resemble the world building of Alien's near-future Earth. And this is kind of a very tight timeline to run with Blade Runner right after the Predator. But looking at these projects that we've had in sequence, the last one that we really had that showed a large-scale Earth was Alien vs. Predator Requiem, where that's where the government started handling this alien tech in 2004. Then in Predators, it was off-world. Independence Day Resurgence, it was humans trying to go off-world to take on aliens. And then the Predator in 2018 is more so a localized event of the government using Yachwa biology. So 2019 Blade Runner, having 15 years where this much innovation has happened with alien technology, I do feel like it is possible. Obviously very difficult, but it's also a fictional world. I think in 15 years something like this is feasible if it's a fictional world. And something that is great to see is that the dystopian megacities and off-world colonies closely resemble the world building of Alien's near future Earth. So it does work there. And followed by this, we have Blade Runner Blackout 2022, where replicants detonate an EMP blackout event erasing data worldwide. The blackout affects corporate records, which help explain why Weyland-Yutani's corporation later maintains fragmented archives regarding xenomorph encounters and synthetic histories. Followed by this, we have Blade Runner Black Lotus in 2032, which explores the aftermath of the blackout and rising replicant tensions, showing an evolution in synthetic biology paralleling early Weyland robotics, precursors to Bishop, Ash, and David. Then, in 2036, we have Soldier, which is more so tied to Blade Runner, but part of this world, where Kurt Russell plays a genetically enhanced soldier discarded when newer models arrive. And this story does use props from Blade Runner like spinners and weapons, placing it in the same universe, as this is humanity's first experimentation with genetic super soldiers, setting foundations for future bioweapon projects, and for how humans later attempt to counter xenomorph threats, which sort of is a one-to-one with what we saw the Yachwa doing earlier on, where they had their own super versions of themselves that were genetically modified. Then, same year, we have 2036 Nexus Dawn, which introduces Wallace Corporation's next-gen replicants, where Wallace succeeds where Weyland initially failed, where obedient, long-lasting synthetic organisms arrive. Synthetic rivalry between corporations begins, forming the fractured future seen in Alien. Now in 2048, Nowhere to Run, it further explores replicant discrimination and off-world expansion, directly setting up what we see in Blade Runner 2049, where Officer K uncovers a replicant capable of giving birth, an unprecedented leap in bioengineering. This breakthrough parallels the engineer creation myths and xenomorph reproductive cycles, where humanity's obsession with artificial life mirrors Weyland-Yutani's future obsession with Xenos. After this, in 2089, all the way through 2093, we have Prometheus, where Weyland Corporation sends a deep space mission to meet the engineers, humanity's creators. They discover bioweapons capable of reshaping DNA, the origin point of xenomorph biology. Now, how is this important to the larger lore for this world? Well, the black goo mutagen is the ancestor of the xenomorph life cycle, which, like I mentioned before, there was something that came before the xenomorphs, and who knows if maybe this is what we saw in Alien vs. Predator. Maybe it was some version that evolved from the black goo, and that's also what we saw down the line there. And then Weyland's obsession with immortality mirrors the corporate overreach seen in Blade Runner and ID4's world militarization. So this is all connected, and it's very cool to see, especially going into Alien Earth, which very recently came out, where Weyland-Yutani researchers on Earth mishandle a classified biomechanical creature, leading to a microscale outbreak that nearly spirals out of control. We see Earth's first direct brush with true alien biology since the time of Alien vs. Predator Requiem. This fills in the gap before Alien and highlights how Weyland-Yutani repeatedly manipulates alien DNA long before the Nostromo incident. After this, we have Alien Covenant in 2104, where David, now a rogue synthetic, creates the first modern xenomorphs through experimentation. He weaponizes the engineer mutagen, creating perfect lethal organisms, which we will definitely see more down the line. And it starts to explain why predators were so interested in them in the past, where predators would hunt the Xenos because they were the galaxy's apex prey. And David's perfected strain is likely what we'll eventually see in the new Alien vs. Predator movie that has not been announced yet, but I am definitely rooting for them announcing it soon, because Alien vs. Predator, it seems like they're setting it up. It just does. But after this, we have the original movie that started everything, Alien in 2122, where the Nostromo diverts to LV-426 after detecting a mysterious distress signal. Kane's facehugger encounter leads to the first xenomorph on screen, where Weyland-Yutani's secret orders reveal the company's desire to weaponize the creature at any cost. After, we have Alien Romulus, taking place 20 years later in 2142, where a new crew encounters yet another strain of xenomorph variation, suggesting the species continues adapting to different environments and hosts. Similar to Blade Runner's replicants, the xenogenome shows rapid, unpredictable evolution, evolving from a human birth, creating one of the biggest versions of nightmare fuel I have seen on screen in my life. That was actually crazy to see, but I actually really enjoyed that movie. Followed by this, we have Aliens in 2179, where the Colonial Marines retake LV-426 and confront a full hive, and Ripley discovers the Queen caste and the species hive structure, showing how xenomorphs scale from isolated incidents to planetary extinction threats. After, we have Alien 3, or Alien Cubed, whatever you want to call it, same year as Aliens, where a runner-style xenomorph emerges, demonstrating host-based morphology. Ripley sacrifices herself to prevent Weyland-Yutani from weaponizing the embryo inside of her, and this is the end of her story, but it's not the end of the larger story for this world. And this is followed by Alien Resurrection, taking place around 2379, where 200 years after Ripley's death, a clone is created to retrieve the alien queen inside of her. This leads to new genetic crossbreeds, including the newborn, one of the strangest hybrid creatures in the universe, where humanity has reached peak unethical bioweaponization and is an endpoint of centuries of dabbling with xenomorph DNA, synthetic evolution, and alien technology, but definitely not the last time we will see the aliens and the xenomorphs in this world, because after this, we do have Predator Badlands, also taking place in the 2300s, but this one's a little interesting because the director just said assume that it takes place 300 plus years in the future, so that it takes place after everything in the Alien and Predator franchise, because he did not want this project to be impacted by anything that has been told, any stories that have been told in the past, right? Makes a lot of sense. He wants it to be its own thing. So he wanted to be in the future, 300 plus. We're in Predator Badlands. It's about a young outcast predator named Dek, who travels to the dangerous planet Jenna to hunt the supposedly unkillable creature, the Kalisk, and prove his worth to his clan. He's joined by an unlikely ally, an android from the Weyland-Yutani company named Tia, as they navigate the planet's hostile environment and face off against even more formidable predators. The film flips the usual script by putting the predator in the role of the hunted. And I really enjoyed this movie. It gives a very different role and perspective on the Yachwa and the predators. But this movie being so tied in between Alien and Predator, at least to me, makes it very clear that they want to eventually do an Alien vs. Predator movie. Now, this film did end with a post-credit scene, which shows that Dek and the rest of his team are going to have to face off against Dek's Yachwa mother after Dek was able to kill off his own dad at the end of the movie. So I feel like that's going to be the story they try to tell first. But what we all really want to see is Alien vs. Predator, let's be honest. And that, my friends, is the full timeline. Almost 6 centuries of hunters, corporations, replicants, engineers, hybrid creatures, and species at war across the galaxy. It's a universe tied together by predator hunts spanning millennia, Weyland-Yutani's ruthless expansion, replicants and synthetics redefining humanity, xenomorphs evolving into the perfect organism, and cosmic civilizations like the ID4 Hive appearing as apex threats. So, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Please comment down below if you want a dedicated video on the full Weyland-Yutani conspiracy, the xenomorph evolutionary biology, how the predator culture changes across centuries, what your thoughts were on Alien Earth, what your thoughts were on Predator Badlands. If you also want to see an Alien vs. Predator movie, if you think that Blade Runner, Soldier, and Independence Day are all part of this universe as well, and just anything else. So thanks again for watching, and see you all next time on Big Flick Energy.